greed leads to sin and sin leads to death. We are all more or less familiar with this saying. Excessive greed drives people to wrongdoing or sin, the inevitable result of which is destruction or death. The 2020 Korean movie The Call seems to perfectly capture the essence of this very idea. The story of this movie is, in a word, extraordinary, but even more remarkable is the screenplay, which is presented in a non-linear way and executed brilliantly in this film. So, although there may be some confusion at the beginning of the story, by the end, all the events will gradually become clear. That's why you need to pay close attention to every event in the story. At the beginning of the story, we see a bag. An unknown person leaves this bag with a hotel staff member. After that, we are introduced to a man named Jungmar. He works as a cleaner at this hotel. While he is cleaning, 3 news stories are shown on TV. The police have found the dismembered body of a girl in a lake. A man has died after being hit by a truck. And the last news is about a 1 million taka investment scam, for which the police have arrested someone. Remember these 3 pieces of news very well. Meanwhile, while Juman is cleaning all the lockers, he notices that bag in one of the lockers. Seeing that the bag is extremely heavy, he opens it to check. But as soon as he unzips it, he is stunned to see the bag full of money. He can't figure out what to do. However, Juman thinks it is best to return the bag to its owner as per his duty, so he tells his colleague about the bag and leaves it in the storeroom. But he couldn't control his greed seeing so much money. That's why he hides the bag in the storeroom so that no one else can see it. After finishing work, he comes home. Upon returning, Juman sees his wife cleaning his mother's feces, which makes him angry. He tells his mother to wear diapers or use the toilet, asking how long his wife will have to do all this. But Juman's mother replies that his wife doesn't work at the store. His father worked very hard to set up the store. And if you keep working like this, we'll lose all our customers. Juman quietly goes to his room. In reality, his mother has Alzheimer's. That's why she has forgotten that their store was closed a long time ago. Then his wife says that their daughter called and said she couldn't get an art student loan. So she's gonna take a semester off to work. Actually, their daughter is studying at a university in Seoul, and his wife works as a cleaner at the airport, and it's shown that a port officer named Taeyong also works at the same airport. While working at the airport, Taeyong receives a text from a gangster named Park, asking to meet. Frightened, Taeyong goes to meet Park. He is in love with a girl named Yeon-hee. He had borrowed a lot of money from Park, but Yeon-hee ran away with the money. Park wants to know when he will get his money back. Taeyong says, "I need a little more time. I don't know where Yeon-hee is, she has the money, and I can't contact her in any way. Please give me 1 more week. I found a bit of a solution. I will return all your money with interest." Park gives him a week and says, "If I don't get my money back within a week, my trusted man Catfish will chew you up alive." Taeyong comes home and calls Yeon-hee, but the phone is switched off, and Taeyong can't make sense of anything. He has no idea how he'll come up with so much money. Meanwhile, a scene at a bar is shown where a girl named Mira is introduced. Mira works at this bar providing blazer service. The responsibility of managing this bar falls on Taeyong's cousin, a man named Karp. Today, a guy named Jintae has come to this bar for service. After arriving, he takes a liking to Mira. While talking to him, Mira learns that Jintae came to Korea from China for work and that he is an illegal immigrant. After providing service to Jintae, Mira finishes her work and returns home. And as soon as she returns home, her husband comes back from the office and starts beating Mira for no reason. In reality, Mira had taken a loan from a bank and invested it in a private company where she ended up losing all her money. This is why Mira's husband physically tortures her. And to repay the loan, Mira works at that bar. She endures her husband's beatings helplessly. At that moment, Jintae texts her and asks to meet the next day. Meanwhile, Dong, speaking with a friend named Taeyong, reveals that in 2 days, he will pull off a big scam and bring in a lot of money. And he can't trust anyone else. Taeyong then gives Dong instructions on how he can safely bring the money. After that, Taeyong meets his cousin Karp, who asks if he has found any trace of Yoni. Taeyong replies that a police friend of his is keeping an eye out. If he doesn't get any news within a month, it means that Young Hee is dead. Karp says that she can't die so easily. Yoni is actually a greedy girl. Then Taeyong says, I have something to tell you. I have someone, a friend. He has come here with a lot of money. He got the money by pulling off a big scam at 1 o'clock. That's why if someone takes the money from him, he can't go to the police. He's my school friend, so he trusts me and has asked me to find a way for him to leave the country. I'll take him to the airport tomorrow. Then, as soon as I give you the signal, you'll take his bag of money and leave. No one was agreeing to do this job, but when Taeyong insisted, Sete finally agreed to go along with him. Meanwhile, Juman arrives at his workplace 3 minutes late. When his manager points this out, Juman replies, there was a problem at my house, but the manager says, we all have problems at home. Remember, if you're late more than 2 days a month, you'll lose your job. Juman then goes to his colleague and asks if anyone has come to collect that bag. The colleague says no one has come. Meanwhile, Miran meets with Era out of concern. They spend some personal time together. They start to like each other. Then Chinta asks, do you really need to do this job? Miran replies, so will you give me money then? At that moment, Chinta notices many scars on Miran's body, so she says, your husband did these, didn't he? How can you stay with someone like that? Men who beat their wives can never change their nature. My father used to beat my mother all the time. And one day, when I tried to stop my father, the funny thing is, my mother came to stop me. Do you also want to spend your whole life getting beaten up like my mother did? If not, then end it right now. When Miran comes home and thinks about what Jindai said, she finds her husband's 1 o'clock file. Inside, she discovers a life insurance document. If her husband dies, she will receive 5 million taka from the insurance. Seeing this, an idea pops into Miran's head. The next day, Yuman comes to the hospital to see his wife. Actually, when his mother wanted to go to the store, his wife tried to stop her. In the scuffle, Juman's wife was pushed and fell down the stairs, injuring her leg. When Juman returns home, he scolds his mother harshly for her misbehavior. Meanwhile, Taeyang was waiting in the car for his friend Dong. When Dong didn't answer his phone, Taeyang called Kat to let him know. At that moment, a detective approached him. The detective showed Taeyang a photo of Dong and asked if he knew him. Taeyang replied that he didn't know this person. Then the detective said, but he studied with you in your class. He was your classmate. Taeyang responded, I really can't remember. Just then it started to rain, so the detective got into Taeyang's car. He took Taeyang to an expensive restaurant. There he asked if Taeyang had ever been in contact with Dong. So Aung answered directly. He directly says that he has never had any contact with him. He adds, you can check my phone if you want. Then the detective says, there's no point in that, because I know if you had contacted him, you would have deleted the call history. So in fact, every time after talking about calling wrong, he deleted the call history. After that, the detective gets an urgent call and leaves. So in the end, Anki has to pay the entire food bill. Meanwhile, Miran shows Gentai a photo of her husband. She tells Gentai to kill her husband, saying that her husband drinks at a bar near the studio every day. After that, around 2 o'clock or 3 o'clock at night, he leaves alone, and that's the best opportunity to kill him. Gentai plans to kill Miran's husband in order to save her. Meanwhile, Juman realizes that he will be late for work again today, so he calls his manager to let him know. However, the manager tells him that he doesn't need to come to work anymore. Juman repeatedly apologizes, explaining that both his wife and mother are sick. That's why he's running a bit late, but the manager says that everyone has problems and he doesn't need to come to work anymore. At that moment, Juman remembers the bag. He's already lost his job, so he absolutely doesn't want to lose that money as well. Jintai waits in front of the house at midnight for Miran's husband to come out. As soon as she sees Miran's husband leave, she drives her car and runs him over, killing him. A little while later, Jintai calls Miran and says, I've killed him. Now I'm going to bury him. Miran gets angry at this. She says, I told you again and again it had to look like an accident at 1 o'clock. But Jintai explains that there was a problem on the road, so she put the dead body in her car and buried it. Then Miran searches the internet and finds out that if a person goes missing, they are declared dead after 5 years. Miran realizes that now she will have to wait 5 years for the insurance money. But just then, she sees that her husband has come back home. Does that mean Gentai had an accident with someone else? Meanwhile, Park learns from Karp himself that Tae and his friend are going to steal money from him, so he brings Tae and Karp in. Park wants to know where the money is. Tae denies having any such plan and says, I asked you for a week's time. There's still time left and you'll get all your money before that. At that, Park gets angry and orders Cobb's hand to be cut off. To save Cobb, T confesses to the plan and admits that they were supposed to steal Park's money but couldn't do it because his friend never showed up to meet him. Park then says, find your friend no matter what it takes. Otherwise, this catfish will chew you up alive. Cobb then asks Anke, how are we supposed to find Donke? He then shows the detective's photo and says that he will find him, that he was looking for Dong. If we don't have anything on that detective, then through that detective we will find Dong. He tells Ankap to follow the detective because that detective will lead them to Dong. Kar then says, because of you, I got caught up in all this. Now Park will kill me too. Then Taeyong says, do you know why I only smoke this cigarette called Lati Strike? One day I was riding in a car with my colleague. I had run out of cigarettes. The cigarette my colleague gave me then was absolutely terrible. And that's why I got out of the car and went to a 1 o'clock store to buy this Lucky Strike cigarette. Just then, a truck came and smashed into my car. My colleague died right there in the car. If I had smoked the cigarette my colleague gave me that day, I wouldn't be alive today. It was this Lucky Strike that saved my life. So, as long as you're with me, nothing will happen to you. Meanwhile, Miran becomes restless seeing her husband at home. She keeps calling Chintai, and late at night, Chintai comes to Miran's house. Then Miran reveals that she has killed another person. Hearing this, Chintai is shocked and can't comprehend what she has done. At that moment, Miran says, you should go to China. Chintai replies, then how will we be together? I did all of this for you. Miran says, after you leave, I'll follow you there. If we want to live together, we need money. I can't go without arranging the money. Meanwhile, Yuma comes to his workplace to retrieve that bag. He checks the bag and sees that the money is still inside. He starts to leave with the bag, but just then, 2 police officers arrive. They show Yuma a photo and ask if he has ever seen this man. Yuma looks at it and says he has never seen him before. These 2 police officers were actually looking for that detective, but why the 2 police officers are searching for this detective, we will find out in a little while. Yuma continues on with his bag, but just then, he runs into his manager. The manager asks what Juma is doing there. Juma replies that he has come to collect some of his things. The manager then gets curious and wants to see what's inside the bag. Juma says there are just some books in the bag. Still, the manager insists on checking the bag, but Juma asks, are you suspecting me? I'm no longer your employee. You have no right to speak to me like this. The manager can't say anything more. Then Juma takes the money straight to his house. After arriving home, he organizes all the money and puts it in a box which he then stores in the storeroom. At the bar, a client insists on having a drink with Miran. Just then, Miran's boss arrives there. The man tells the owner of the Point Bar that his girls treat customers this way and then slaps Milan's boss in front of everyone. In response, Milan's boss hits the man with a bottle and comes to talk to Miranta's boss. Miranta's boss notices that the man has bruises all over his body. She realizes that Miran's husband beats her. She tells Miran, my husband used to beat me too. If you ever need any help, you can call me anytime. Afterwards, Miran goes to meet with Jintai. She sees that Jintai is extremely frightened and hallucinating. She's hearing the voice of the dead person. Jintai says, I want to surrender. Don't worry, I won't say anything about you. Miran then says, let's go pray for the peace of the dead man's soul. You'll feel better. So they go to the place where the man was buried to pray. But even after that, Taijin still couldn't find peace. He was feeling guilty and Miran gets angry. Then Taijin says, it's all because of you. You told me to kill your husband. Miran replies, you were the one who told me to do it. Because of you, I'm in big trouble now. Still, Taijin wants to go to the police. At that moment, Miran runs over Taijin with the car, killing him. She doesn't know what to do, so she calls her boss and shares everything. Miran's boss comes there and comes to scrap Miran's car. Then he tells Miran a story, the story of the shark. Miran's boss explains that when a shark is pregnant, it carries more than 50 eggs. But inside the mother's womb, the babies eat each other. And in the end, only the strongest baby survives. Miran's boss suggests to Miran that she should kill her husband. At that moment, Miran notices a shark tattoo on her boss's thigh. Miran's boss asks, do you like the tattoo? Miran stays silent, then she gives Miran the same tattoo on her thigh as well. Miran's boss gives her all the instructions on how to kill her husband. Following those instructions, Miran slowly kills her husband by giving him medicine. During the police investigation, Miran claims that her husband died because he couldn't handle the pressure of debt. As her boss advised, Miran handles everything like a normal wife, and the police accept her husband's death as natural. They declare the death as natural, and Miran is given the insurance money. Miran comes to meet her boss with that money. She is leaving Korea tomorrow. Miran gives her boss some money as a gift for helping her. At that moment, her boss says, "I didn't do all this for money." She shows a picture of a man and says, "Your Chinese friend murdered this man, and he was a rapist." Miran's boss then offers him a drink to start a new life. But after Miran drinks, he becomes senseless. When he regains consciousness, Miran finds his hands and feet are tied. He sees his boss and sees that the boss is coming toward him with an electric cutter. Biraj starts screaming, but his boss says, "You shouldn't trust anyone when you have so much money with you." Saying this, Miran's boss uses the cutter to chop Miran's body into pieces. Meanwhile, Taeyong arrives at his apartment, and as soon as he enters, he sees his girlfriend Yeonhee there. And his girlfriend Yeonhee was actually Miran's boss. After so long, when Taeyong sees Yeonhee in his apartment, he gets angry. But Yeonhee acts like a normal girlfriend in front of him, as if nothing happened. Taeyong wants to know why she left. Yeonhee says, "I had some work at 1 o'clock. I know you're in trouble because of me." Taeyong asks, "Then why did you come back now?" Yeonhee replies, "I have no one but you." Taeyong becomes emotional. He still has feelings for Yeonhee. That's why, seeing her, he seems to forget everything else. They spend time together. Yeonhee says, "I'm going to Japan. I have some money there and I need to go and collect it. That's why I need your help." Yeonhee then shows Miran's passport and says, "I'm using my friend's passport." She adds, "I'll need your help at immigration." Taeyong looks at the passport and says, "So you only came to me because you need something." "I understand everything." Just then, the detective comes to his apartment and Taeyong hopes he won't come inside. But the man sees a woman's shoes inside and forces his way in. Taeyong introduces Yeonhee as his girlfriend. The detective then starts flirting with Yeonhee right there, and Taeyong asks if he has found Dong yet. The detective says that today a dismembered body was found by the lake. He thought it might be Dong's body, but later he learned that it was a girl's body. The girl had a shark tattoo on her thigh. Seeing the photo, Taeyong is shocked because Yeonhee has the same tattoo on her thigh. He realizes that this must be Oneri's doing. She killed that girl. Just then, the detective receives a call. After talking on the phone, he tells Taeyong that Dong was arrested because of smuggling. Taeyong says he's going out to get a drink, but instead steps outside and calls Carp, telling him that the police have found a girl's dead body. The girl has a shark tattoo on her thigh. "I think Yeonhee is dead." Then Taeyong says, "Yeonhee is at my flat. She's planning to flee the country. I'm sure Yeonhee has a lot of money with her." Because he won't flee the country empty-handed, so he asks Ankar for help, and in return, they agree to split the money between the two of them. Kar agrees, and right then, they realize someone has overheard their plan. Catfish has been listening from behind. Meanwhile, Taeyong arrives at the apartment and finds that Detective Yong has been killed. This makes Ong scared. Yeonhee says, "After you left, he started touching my body. I was afraid that he might see my tattoo and expose me, so I wanted to report it to the police. But Yonggi says, he was killed in your apartment. The police will suspect you first." Even though Taeyong doesn't want to, he is forced to help Yeonhee. They start cleaning up all the blood in the room, while Yeonhee goes to the bathroom and begins cutting the detective's body into pieces. After a while, Taeyong seizes the opportunity and hits Yeonhee on the head. Yeonhee becomes senseless. Then Taeyong takes the car keys from Yeonhee's bag and goes to Yeonhee's car trunk. He finds a bag of money, which makes him overjoyed. Meanwhile, Karp is forced to reveal their entire plan to Park. Park arrives at Taeyong's apartment with his men, where they find Yeon lying unconscious. Park then tells Yeon to return his money. After checking her bag, Yeon realizes that Taeyong has run away with the money. Yeon calls Taeyong to ask where he is, but Taeyong doesn't share anything. Yeon figures out that he's heading to the airport with the money. That's why she sets out with Park heading towards Taeyong. Meanwhile, Taeyong arrives at a hotel locker to stash the bag of money. And this was actually the very first scene of the story. This is where the movie began. Taeyong asks Juman where the smoking area is, and Juman shows him the way. Taeyong leaves the bag in the locker. Then, when he wants to smoke, he sees that his cigarette pack is empty, so he asks Juman to bring him a pack of Lucky Strike cigarettes. But Juman says that he's alone at the last store, so he can't help him. So Taeyong comes outside to buy cigarettes himself. While he's smoking, he notices that Park's men have followed him there, and he tries to escape. But Park's men surround him from all sides. Taeyong keeps saying, "I'll return all the money," but none of them listen to him. While trying to escape, he suddenly collides with a truck and dies on the spot. Karpeshe sees that the very cigarettes that once saved his life have now caused his death. If he hadn't come to get the cigarettes, maybe he would still be alive. Karb says, "Now where will we find the bag of money?" And from here, Juman's story begins. At the very beginning of the story, while Juman was working, there were 3 news items on TV. The first was that pieces of Miran's body had been found. The second was that Taeyang had died in a collision with a truck. And the third was that a man named Dong had been arrested by the police for scamming 1 million taka. And right after that, Juman found that bag of money. Now that bag of money is with Juman, so he tells his wife to quit her job, but his wife says, "You've lost your job, I still have to work." Juman says, "You should quit your job, we can reopen my father's old shop." But his wife doesn't believe him and leaves for work by bus. Just then, Juman's manager calls him. When he goes to collect his due salary, Juman says he doesn't need it. But the manager tells him that sometimes people cause trouble if they don't take their money, so Juman goes to collect it. As soon as he arrives, he sees Park and Yeonhee with the manager. Juman asks who they are. The manager introduces Park as a detective and says that Yeonhee has lost her bag. Yeonhee shows a picture of Taeyong and asks if he has seen him. Juman looks carefully but lies, saying he hasn't seen him. He adds that so many people come and go in the store that it's impossible to recognize everyone. Then Yeonhee shows him a picture of her bag and asks if he saw anyone bring in that bag. Then the manager says, "You went home with this very bag that day, didn't you?" Juman replies, "My wife gave me a bag just like this as a gift." The manager then says, "One of the employees told me that someone left a bag in the locker and you put it in the storeroom." Juman says, "Maybe that employee stole the bag himself and is blaming me for it." The manager says, "I saw you take the bag with my own eyes." But Juman says, "That was my bag, not this one." Park and Yeonhee don't say anything more to them. They go outside and wait for Juman. Actually, they've realized that the bag of money is with Juman, because the bag that had the money in it was also very expensive, a luxury bag that Juman could never afford. So they follow Juman and arrive at his house. Meanwhile, Juman comes home and starts checking the bag of money. And just then, Park and Yeonhee enter the room and catch him red-handed. Juman can no longer lie to them. Yeonhee counts the money and notices that 1 bundle is missing. Juman explains that he used it to pay his daughter's tuition fee. As they are about to leave with the money, Juman's mother enters the room and starts saying all sorts of things. Juman tells his mother to be quiet and explains that the detectives are here to take the bag. Seeing the tattoo on Park's hand, Juman's mother says, "Since when did detectives start getting tattoos?" Hearing this, Juman realizes that they are not detectives. But when Yeonhee tries to leave with the money, Juman's mother grabs her by the hair. At that moment, Park hits Juman and his mother with an iron. Both of them lose consciousness from the blow. Taking advantage of this, Yeonhee stabs Park about 12 times with a knife. This kills Park. As Yeonhee is leaving, she turns on the gas throughout the house and sets it on fire. Meanwhile, Catfish is waiting outside for Park. But when he sees the fire inside, he comes to check. He sees that Yeonhee has killed Park and escaped with the money. Witnessing this, he can't keep his composure. He vows to take revenge for this no matter what. A little while later, when Juman regains consciousness, he somehow manages to get his mother out of the house. He watches helplessly as his entire home burns to ashes before his eyes. He completely breaks down in tears. But his mother comforts him, saying, "The most important thing is that you are alive. During the Korean War, the whole of Korea went through the same thing. Yet people survived. They started everything anew. You still have your 2 hands and 2 feet. With those, you can start everything over again." Hearing his mother's words, Juma feels somewhat comforted. Meanwhile, Yeonhee arrives at the airport. She leaves her bag in a locker and goes to the restroom to freshen up. There, she spots Catfish. Yeonhee realizes that Catfish has come here to kill her. She tries to hide, but she can't. Catfish brutally kills Yeonhee and leaves the scene. Right after that, the news reports the gruesome murder of Yeonhee at the airport. Along with that, It is also reported that the body of a detective from Seoul has been found in an apartment. However, the owner of the apartment where the body was found has also died. Actually, in an accident. Actually, that day the police were showing a picture of the detective to Juma and asking about his whereabouts, because by then that detective had already been murdered. And it was precisely because he had suddenly disappeared that the police department had started searching for him. Meanwhile, Juma's wife works in cleaning at that very airport. While she was cleaning the bathroom, she found the key to Yeonhee's locker. Using that key, she opened the locker and saw a bag inside. When she tried to lift the bag, she noticed it was very heavy, so she opened it to check and was completely stunned to find the bag full of money. And after that, she quietly took the bag of money and returned home. In the end, the bag of money ended up at Juma's house. And this is where the story ends. At this moment, the director has given us several messages. No one can ever be truly happy by deceiving others. When Chinta wanted to surrender to the police, she said she wouldn't tell the police anything about Miran. Even so, Miran killed Chinta, and this was Milan's fate. What happened to him was even more terrifying. He had promised Karp that he would give him 50% of the money. But after getting the money, he planned to run away with all of it by himself. In the end, not only did he not get the money, but he also lost his life. He repeatedly committed wrongdoings, deceived people again and again, and killed so many people. In the end, he had to die a brutal death. Juman didn't really commit any serious crime, he was just greedy. Perhaps that's why he lost everything for a small mistake. Everyone has to face the consequences of their good or bad deeds. Finally, Juman's wife finds the money in the locker. At present, none of the original owners of this money are alive. So, it can be said that Juman's wife did not take the money before, but now she has the right to it. So friends, that was today's story. Let us know how you liked the story. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like, comment, and share. See you in the next story. Keep loving. Bye.